There's only one way to get the best armor enchantments in the game. I challenged myself to not only obtain a set of OP armor, but to also build a secret location so that my pesky villagers don't steal all of my trade secrets. And at the end of this video, I'll test if this villager is able to get into my secret base. If he does, he gets to keep all of my OP armor forever. But first, I need to give you a little bit more context. This is my Minecraft world, and so far we've built a lot of cool things, but the one that I'm interested in today is this one right here, because it houses our librarian on the inside. Through my, 20 doors right here, the librarian likes to escape, but it is actually not on the inside that I'm interested in. I would like to go underneath this building. And that is going to be my secret area where we keep all of our trade secrets on how to build our OP armor. So if I dig this out just a little bit, just like this, and of course maybe add some light so we can actually see, then we can start digging our room downwards. And the reason that I want this room to be so deep underground is so that we don't have to use the floor from the library as our ceiling in here. Instead, I'm going to grab some of our stone brick slabs and use those as a much prettier option. And then I also left some spots in our corners where we can start adding in some spruce pillars to give this place a little bit more structure. After all, it is underground, and it would definitely make it much easier for that villager to find this place if it was collapsed. So we can't have that. Now the next thing that we have to do, well, is probably filling that in. That looks a little weird. And then also using those stone bricks to fill in the walls. And then we can finish it off by filling in the extra area with some slabs. And now it's looking a little too bricky. So to fix that, I'm thinking we go back up to the ceiling and use some of our spruce trapdoors. Right down the middle should do the trick to split up all of that stone. And all of the walls will eventually be covered, so you won't be able to see how stony it is. I really don't have a better description besides it's just a lot of stone, but it will be fixed eventually. So now that we've got that all complete, it's time to finally put in our floor. And I'm thinking just the classic checker with some spruce logs and some spruce planks should be simple enough, but also still cute. I feel like I've been using this a lot in all of my builds, so hopefully it doesn't get too old for you guys because I absolutely love it. It's personally just like a really good way to texture a floor without requiring too many resources or being too complicated. And now that we have our entire room made up right here, it's time to start defending it before I put our secret ingredient in there. And the first thing that I'm going to do is clear out this area. I'm going to need a lot of space for our first protective measure of our base, so that Reggie over here, yeah, I decided to name the villager Reggie. I figured, he may be a contestant in my trying to find all my secrets game-a-thon, whatever you call it, but he should probably still deserve a name. So Reggie it is, and Reggie shall not find this underground area, or he shall. Ooh. Anyways, my very first protective measure is going to be a maze. Now to make room for that maze, I think I'm going to have to get rid of this area right here, so that instead of a staircase, we just have a ladder down here. That way we have much more space. And I still left one block gap between the building and the ladder so that the villager technically can fit through that space. That way I'm not cheating when he goes to actually try to find this underground area, because otherwise he'd never be able to make it down there. And now for our maze, I think I'm going to go with a very basic block palette of some leaves. And I think these spruce ones will be nice and cute. So if I grab a few of these from my front yard, then I can bring them over here and relocate them. Right next to our library. So I've set up kind of a block shape right here, and then we should just be able to come through and carve out the shape that we're going to want for our maze. Alright, and with those final blocks, that should be the shape that I want. I'm not sure if this is even resembles a maze, because I kind of just did a rough outline, but I think it will do its job nonetheless. So now the next step that I have is to start bringing up all of these leaves by about 2 more layers to bring it up to 3. And now that that's complete, I'm thinking that we add a couple of decorations to our corners so that it's not just a giant hedge. Some stripped spruce logs with a spruce slab to top it should spruce this place up just a little bit. Get it? Spruce leaves. I feel like I try a little too hard on some of those. And as a final step, just to make the tops look a little cuter, we can come through here and add trapdoors to all of the top layers. And now that it's a little bit prettier, we should probably go through and test that this still works. So I'll just do a quick go myself through the maze, all the way around through this corner and into the hole. As assumed, it shouldn't be too hard for me, but it may be pretty hard for Reggie, which is the point, so I guess that's good. And now finally, we've created 2 ways to keep Reggie out of our secret base. We've 1, made it underground, secret and hidden, and then 2, hidden the entrance behind a totally complicated maze, which I think Reggie is already attempting. Oh, no, he's attempting the bamboo maze. You'll get it one day, bud. But the last defense measure that I would like to take is adding a few distractions. So we're going to need some fence posts and some item frames so that we can place down some items that villagers love. And the goal is to keep him away from the maze. So we'll have 3 levels of defense. The first level is food because villagers always love food. And if he makes it past that tasty snack, then we have a barrel, which is technically a fisherman's job. So if he's not convinced by that, then our final layer of defense, directly going the other direction as the entrance, is our emerald. Because Reggie and all other villagers live for emeralds. That is their entire purpose, is to trade. So if he gives up his entire purpose of trading just to head into the maze for our secrets, I don't know, I guess he deserves a shot at the maze. So with all of our defense mechanisms for Reggie in place, now what we need is to start building in here. And what I'm building is going to be what helps us achieve the best armor in the game. And if you weren't already able to tell, the secret to making max level armor is a trading hall. And we have all of our stalls complete, so now I just need to add some villagers. And the reason that I need villagers is because I need librarians. Once the villagers become librarians in my trading hall, then I'll be able to trade the emeralds that I get from our bamboo farm in here for some books with the librarians. But it's not just any books, it's a very special set of books, and I'll explain it a little bit more right after we find some villagers. Looks like we have our first volunteer. We'll go with that. Yeah, now I just need to convince him and all of his friends to come down here and be librarians for me. And even longer than it took to get all of these guys in here is going to be how long it's going to take to re-roll all of these trades to get the books that I need. So give me like 5 hours and I'll get all the books that we need and cut it for you so you don't have to endure that pain. Alrighty, 4 in real life hours later, I am finally back, and I have gone through and collected all of the versions of the books that we're going to need, and of course purchased a couple of them. Now there's a couple of them that we're going to have to combine, like Depth Strider, which needs to be Depth Strider 3, so we'll have to unlock a couple of those. And the only book that I wasn't able to obtain was Soul Speed 3. And I figure that's kind of one for the Nether anyways, and I don't go to the Nether often. So I'm just gonna skip that one, which means that our OP armor won't be a complete set, but I'm kind of okay with that because it's still definitely OP. And now all I need to do is go through and purchase a few more from these guys. And because I have my mending villager up there and we only needed 8 total books for our OP armor, I had 1 extra slot, which I was able to turn into a Fortune 3 book. So we'll be able to add that onto a bunch of our tools in the future. But for now, I'm just going to go through and buy a few more of these books and combine them so that we get the maxed out version of that book. Alright, and it looks a little bit disorganized right now, but we can now take all of these books upstairs and begin combining them in an anvil. Hopefully I have enough levels for that and enough anvil for that. Alright, here is Respiration 3. And we are already out of levels. But not to worry, we do have that desert XP farm over here in the village. Alrighty, and now that we've spent a lot of time at the skeleton spawner, I have all of our books ready to go and all of our enchanted armor is completely healed up. So now all I have left to do is combine all of these books. And because I did already add some mending to all of our armor, it's going to make it a little more complicated. There's technically a certain way that you can add all of these on in a certain order, and that'll save you a ton of XP levels. But since we already added mending to everything, it's going to be a little bit different. So what I'm going to do first is add protection and our aqua affinity. and that's going to end up going on our helmet. But first we got to put Unbreaking on it. And then next up we're going to put our Respiration 3 onto the helmet as well. And take a pit stop for some more levels at the Skeleton XP farm. And now we can finally come back by finishing off the helmet by adding the Protection 4 and Aqua Affinity. And just because we can, might as well give it a fun name. And that is that diamond helmet completely maxed out on enchants. Next up we can take our chest plate. And this one didn't need any particular order, so we're just going to throw on Unbreaking, then Protection, and it already has Mending, which means that this piece of armor is also complete. Then we're just going to do the exact same thing on the leggings. And then finally, all of our remaining books are going to go towards our boots. Firstly, we're going to do our Depth Strider and then our Protection. Then we can put that onto the boots. Then we can put the Unbreaking and the Feather Falling together. And put that book onto the boots. Back to the skeleton spawner. I don't think that I added all of those books onto the armor correctly, because the video that I was watching, and I'll link it in the description for you guys so you can check it out as well, but he basically explained that if you do the books in a certain order on your armor, that they end up costing less levels in the end, which I don't think I did it correctly, because it definitely should not be costing me 30 levels just to put some enchants on my boots. Luckily, we built this skeleton spawner though, otherwise I would be in really big trouble. Alright, back here with 30 levels this time, and that should be just enough to complete the diamond boots, which leaves us with our completed, completely enchanted diamond OP armor set, which I am very excited about. So is he. And speaking of villagers, good segue, I think it's about time that we see if Reggie can make his way into our secret base and find out whether he's going to steal all of our trade secrets and keep our armor, or if we get to keep this for the rest of the series. And by the way, just in case you guys were wondering and didn't want to check out the video that I watched, here's all the enchantments that make your armor completely OP. And what I've done to set up that game for Reggie is I've gone around and with the same hedges from earlier, and I just realized I don't have any blocks, I will replace the hedges right there, but everywhere else is completely blocked in. And I figured this was more fair so that when I leave Reggie for about an hour, he's not just going to wander off outside the village, he actually has a fair opportunity to get into the base. And speaking of fair opportunity, I figured I'd also add in some more lecterns, just so technically Reggie has something to pathfind to. Otherwise, just as a dumb villager, he's never going to want to come down here. So I figured, besides of course the OP armor, I'd give him other reasons as well. And finally, I'm gonna have to say goodbye to these guys for just a moment, 1 hour actually specifically, and put my OP armor on this armor stand right here. And now is the moment that we've been waiting for, where we get to find out if Reggie finds the armor. So like I said, I'm just gonna leave my game running for about an hour and record it in replay mod to see if Reggie ever makes it into our secret base. You don't want to though, right? Yeah, he's saying no. Yeah, okay. At first, all of the distractions that we set up started deterring Reggie. But throughout the hour, he eventually started getting risky and exploring the maze. He made it through about halfway, and that's where he peaked. And he never ended up making it to the end of the maze. Which means for us that we get to keep all of our diamond armor to ourselves. And that also means that I am unfortunately out of time for this episode. So if you did happen to enjoy, consider subscribing, because I would love to see you guys in the next episode. And speaking of next episodes, here's a couple that I think that you would enjoy.